Hi, everyone. Well, I'm doing another uh, personal share and update on the never-ending deepening process to awakening. And whew, these last 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks or so, have been just really incredible. I don't even know how to explain them. But how I feel, and if you notice, I'm feeling very low energy, and that's how the last couple of weeks have felt. Like every ounce of life force has been drained out of my body. Yeah, maybe anyway, we'll get to that later. So in my previous update, I mentioned that I began working on the heart. Like I just said, had enough of myself, enough of the ego baloney, and just really had to dive into opening the heart and breaking down all these walls, etc., etc. And I've had another heart-opening, fabulous experience that once again led to I'm assuming that these two things are correlated, but they may not be, but great heart-opening experience and a huge crash. And this crash is lasting a really long time, and it's a different crash than I've ever experienced. The crashes before, I wouldn't call them crashes, but the ego responses or reactions to previous spiritual experiences, excuse me, or awakenings or glimpses, the ego tends to come in like guns blazing, mind goes crazy, and could be hyperactive, or you can't settle the mind. But this one, because it's dealing with the heart, and I think where I'm at, I know this is what's happening. This last experience with the heart was so intense, and it couldn't sustain being open, the heart chakra being open, because now I'm like digging in the bottom of the pit of the shit that's clinging on for dear life. And it's weighing really heavy on me. Like I just feel like totally drained. And yes, you could say it presents as a depression. My true self doesn't feel depressed, but I'm experiencing depression. And it's so heavy. I've never had it last this long every day. I just want to sleep. I'm sleeping all the time. I have no energy. I mean, no energy. I don't know what's going on. It's kind of freaking me out. Anyway, so let me just say one word about these intense spiritual experiences. Everybody thinks they want them. And of course we all do, but I have to say, the crashes are just getting to be ridiculous, right? Because the higher you go and the more intense that they are, the crashes tend to be just at the same level. And it's really hard to dig yourself out. At this point, I might just settle for some, stable little realization and just keep moving on a stable plane, because these ups and downs are a little much. But I did hear one Vedic or Indian teacher, look at that doesn't look right, talk about how particular doshas tend to have, some will have, very quiet awakenings and they're very stable, and some doshas will have these intense experiences, like they're great and they're all blissed out, but they crash really low, like someone on, coming off of crack or something, some drug, and that those experiences don't tend to stabilize into a stable awakening. And I suspect that's exactly what's been going on with me. they're not fun. I mean, they're great, but the crash is too much. So just, if you're not having big, flashy spiritual experiences, you might want to count your blessings. Anyway, here's the thing. What I know about all these experiences that I've had, I'm like beyond grateful for them, because they're, number one, what it's telling me is, and they're happening closer and closer together, it's telling me that I'm at least being more present and out of the mind and quiet, a quiet mind. I've stilled the wave more often, so that these experiences, which actually could be ordinary life, when you're totally centered and have this quiet mind, this would be a natural way of life. They're happening more and more often. So that tells me something, I'm progressing in becoming more stabilized. So that's a good thing. But also, these intense experiences, they imprint you. And, it's like if you've taken a psychedelic, you'll never forget that experience. And it's like imprints into your cellular memory, and you can always go back to that. So I have all these like imprints in me, and I can go back to them as reminders, like, oh yes, that's that truth, that's a different way of seeing. So I really, in that sense, I'm really grateful for these experiences. So what was this great experience? So I was out I have a courier job, and I was out driving around and delivering all this sort of stuff for people. And I was really focused in the heart, like, helpers of the heart, please help me to see love, be love. And what I'm working on is the aspect of love that I'm working on is love for others, love for the outside, the external world, which I have like a crabby attitude towards it. So it's really about others. And as I was driving around, I could feel you know what it feels like when the heart chakra is about to open, or it's like somebody's like trying to crank it open. You can feel it. It's that achy feeling. And then I came at a stop, and it was at the YMCA, and as I was going into the YMCA, it like opened up, and suddenly, and it was a whole body sensory feeling experience. And as people were walking by, the word that came to me was, I was seeing past the physical personality, and I was physically reading their wisdom, like their historical soul wisdom, like the lifetimes of learning that they had accrued and was imprinted into their etheric body. I don't even have words to describe that feeling. And I could feel it in my body, and I could feel that some people had a lighter, it's like, okay, this person has a more young soul wisdom, but there's wisdom there, and it was beautiful. And I felt a love for them, a kind of knowing love, brotherly, sisterly. It was a beautiful experience. And as each person walked by, it was just amazing. You could almost read their entire incarnational history. Oh, they've been through this, they've been through that. And this is what they learned. This is a young mother, she's learning this. It was crazy. And I dropped my stuff off, and I was walking out the door, and and it was just getting more and more intense. And these two women, they were of Asian descent. I'm assuming they were Chinese. That's the first thing that came into my field. And as they passed, there was a younger woman, I guess daughter, and then an older woman. I cannot tell you, their energy hit me. My knees almost buckled. My eyes were welling up with tears, and I was starting to shake because the wisdom in those two women was incredibly intense. And you could just feel the ancestral lineage, like their heritage, all, I could feel it into their, I could feel that from them. It was really, it was too much. My knees started buckling and I was like starting to cry. And this lady, I don't know, it was so strange. She was like really far away. And she just said, hello, or good morning, from a real far away from me. And I thought it was really strange. So I don't know if she was seeing something, but I could feel her wisdom. Anyway, there was a beautiful connection. And my heart was just overflowing. My whole body was shaking. And it kind of continued on as I was driving. I could look at people and feel this wisdom. And even a particular person, I even felt, I felt darkness. You know, not an evil darkness, but kind of like, kind of unconscious and asleep. And there was a real, the light in them was, hadn't been awakened yet. So I could even feel that. That was so intense, and it lasted a little while, maybe till the end of the day it affected me. And then by the next day it was like gone. How do you come back after something like that? I mean, for someone whose heart has been so closed probably all their life, no, not all my life, but for so long, to experience that, to feel connected with others, and then, excuse me, I'm getting emotional, and then to be cut off, to have the appearance of being cut off. That was really rough. But here's what I realize now. I'm going to put it on pause because I have a little kitty that wants out. What I realize is that in order for the heart to open fully, some things have to be resolved. And what I'm getting down to, the nitty gritty inside of me, are all these layers of guilt. And some of you may think, I don't even let guilt bother me. I don't have guilt, but I'm going to tell you, I didn't think I did either. But guilt is so insidious. You think you don't have guilt, you have guilt. And anyway, when you're working to open the heart, it will show itself. And it's really a heavy, heavy energy. And I will talk about the 3 main guilt ego complexes in the next video, because it is that quote unquote black stain that the ego has created that robs your chi and your life force and creates all illnesses. So it's real heavy energy, and I'm dealing with that, not dealing with it, but deprogramming it, looking at it. And there's some other things that I'm working on. I'm getting down to like just my real repressive nature is like, I'll just share with you. I don't know what's going on, but when I was a child, I used food. I was lacking motherly nourishment or any kind of nourishment, really. I was left alone to fend for myself. There was not a good relationship with mother. It was very violent, volatile. And I was left to just kind of fend for myself at nights. And so I used food as comfort and love. And the last couple of weeks, I mean, my God, I've been eating everything in sight like crazy. And then I went for a couple weeks into like dessert mode. Every night eating dessert, any kind, cookies, I mean, crazy. And, put on a few pounds. That's enough to make anybody depressed. Anyway, I'm done with the desserts, no sugar for a week. That hasn't helped with my depression. So this is, I know it's more of a spiritual kind of cleansing thing, that I have to get really, really empty before I can get filled back up. But anyway, so it's like been eating. What can I, because I don't know if I'm ready yet to allow the emptiness of being to be okay. Because we go and when we eat, when we're not hungry, you know, we're trying to fill a spot, and there's two spots that we try to fill. There is one in the heart, but usually it's just below the solar plexus, around just above the navel. There's a little hole, or what feels like a hole, that you're trying to fill. And because it feels empty, spaciousness. And I don't know this for sure, but this is just my intuitive sense, is that there is a spot in the solar plexus, and it's called the Dantian. I'm probably just screwed up that word, but it's a spot in the solar plexus that is, it's called a black hole, but it's your connection, it's your cosmic umbilical cord that opens you up into cosmic consciousness. And I think because we're not used to being in emptiness, like we're not taught that emptiness is who we are, that empty fullness, that we keep shoving food in there trying to fill that. I know that that's what I'm trying to do, because at nighttime, this happens at nighttime, just laying it out there for you guys. And I think, I'm not even hungry, but here I am. I can't distract myself with putzing around the house. And I have this hole. And I don't know if I can sit here and allow that emptiness to nourish me. I don't trust it. I'm afraid of it. And if I do, if I let go of this ego attachment to desire, to pleasure, then it feels like, oh, I'm going to cry. It's a fear, because it's kind of like I'm not going to say my last attachment, but last big ego defense attachment. And when that goes, I can feel the fear rising up in me. Because once that goes, it's like, once I let go that need to use food to find nourishment and motherly love, then I have to really trust and allow emptiness, stillness, silence to enter into my belly fully. And that it even scares me to talk about it. So this is kind of where I'm at. It's like really getting to the nitty gritty of stuff. And what else? I hope I'm explaining this, well enough. And also to, I have kitty cats. I have, more than one, more than two, a few little feline friends here. And one of them, my Toby girl, the one that always kind of photo bombs or video bombs, she has been a great teacher for me. I think it was not last week, but the week before, in a dramatic, gosh, it just broke my heart, in a dramatic illness, dramatic fashion. Toby got ill, and I had to put her down. It was like fast decision. Her heart was being filled up with water. She was drowning. It was awful, just awful. And I can you know, and and from that experience, it showed me all the guilt, all my guilt came up because of how we interacted with each other. We never quite bonded. It was always 14, 15 years of this love, not love, hate, but love, hate, you know, those types of relationships. And the guilt, all that guilt has come up for me to look at, to see how guilty I felt in the way we interacted. And I just have to say, people with your animals, please just be careful with your words, because they hear you, you know. And she's been sick for a little while now. The last 6 months has been pretty hellish, but nothing to do with her heart. This was like so unexpected. And for it to come, I mean, within a day, no, it happened the same day, that heart opening. And then that afternoon, I had to rush her to the emergency. There's no coincidence here. You know, if you've ever had to take care of a terminally ill family member or patient, you know, you get so exhausted with the situation, and you're just like, please, just, you can go, please die already. And you immediately feel remorse for saying that. It's awful, because, you know, you don't ever want to say that. But I've said that about Toby, and then, like, anyway, so she was my teacher. She is my teacher for guilt. And I want to show you, I have to show you a picture of her so that we can bid her a lovely farewell. I'm going to share a picture of her. Let's see. Can you see her? There's my Toby. She's sleeping. Look at her, so full of attitude. I'll just say thank you, Toby, for being such a good little teacher. And I know you're resting in peace. So there you go. So no doubt I will have another kitty cat photo bombing my video. No. Anyway, so that was really a heartbreaking experience. And I have to say no to that, because I don't want my heart to say it's broken. So that was really intense. But my point is, you know, you go to work on the heart and you have heart openings, all these elements out there will come up for you to face. And, you know, maybe people or animals in your life might be playing a role for you. So my little kitty cat has taught me a great deal. And here's the crazy thing about Toby. In the past, I used to do readings for people on their names. What is the vibration of your name? What does it mean? And when I looked at Toby's, she had the exact same karmic condition as I did. And it was all about really having this seeking attention, nourishment, needing. And she was always needing. And it just reflected exactly what was going on with me. So she's been a real beautiful teacher. Okay, I'm all over the place. So that's what's been going on. Just so exhausted. It's unbelievable, but I think things are working their way out. And what I feel now is, I don't know if I can go much further with this heart without kind of taking some action towards maybe being of service. So now I think part of what, I'm sorry, this is such a long video. I didn't anticipate using it as like a journal here. I think part of this lethargy, and I'm not even going to call it melancholy. I don't particularly feel sad. I just feel exhausted, like no life force. And I think it's because I'm getting to the point where, okay, I've looked at all this, I've had all these awakenings, now what? I'm getting down to the bottom. I can't go much further. It's, what do I do now? What is my purpose? Well, purpose, such a tough word. You know, where is my value? What role do I play in this world? And that's a big question mark that I have, and I have no idea. So I think I'm going to have to take a first step, even if whether it's right or wrong, it doesn't matter, in offering some of my gifts to you guys, and I'll do that in another video. So that might be my next step, being of service in some way. Okay, let's talk guilt. Moving on. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.